Hunter's hand locked around Daphne's arm as he dragged her against him. She had run from their mating ceremony, crossed the forest wounded, and still he had found her. Worse, her own father stood beside the alpha, insisting she belonged with her pack. Hunter lowered his teeth toward her neck, ready to claim what she had already refused. Then a deep voice cut through the trees. Freeze. Hunter stopped instantly, and Daphne realized the man hunting her was no longer the only danger she didn't understand. Chapter 1. Most people would agree, from philosophers to friends and neighbors, that few wounds cut as deeply as betrayal, especially when it comes from someone you love. Being wronged leaves a scar. Yet the betrayed are often hurried toward forgiveness. Some call forgiveness the moral choice. Others insist that releasing resentment will eventually make the injured person feel better, and perhaps resentment truly is a heavy burden. But what happens when the betrayal itself is never acknowledged? What if everyone around you dismisses the pain? How do you find peace in a reality that refuses to admit you suffered at all? The truth is simple. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you run from that reality instead. Until, eventually, it catches you again. Hunter doesn't kiss Jade the way he kisses Daphne. That is Daphne's first clear thought as she watches them. Hunter's mouth moves over Jade's with a possessive hunger Daphne has never experienced from him, and the sight makes her heart go frighteningly still. The first time Hunter kissed Daphne, the contact had been soft and fleeting, little more than a brush of lips. She had liked it well enough. She had even appreciated that he hadn't immediately tried to force something more intimate upon her. Only now does Daphne understand that she mistook indifference for respect. Hunter has kissed her many times since then. Some of those kisses were warmer. Some lasted long enough that when Daphne closed her eyes and allowed herself to enjoy them, a pleasant ache settled somewhere deep inside her. She had taken that as a promising sign. It would have been unfortunate to dislike kissing the man she was expected to take as her mate. Not that a lack of attraction would have stopped the union. Their mating had always been strategic. Hunter himself had explained that joining their packs made sense for both sides, especially for Daphne's. That last part had rarely been said aloud. It didn't need to be. Daphne needed Hunter. She was hardly in a position to reject him. Still, when attraction began to grow between them, she had been relieved. Perhaps she had even started caring for him. She must have. Otherwise, why would tears be running down her face now? She had believed Hunter cared for her too. At least a little. Had all of that been false? When he told her there was no other woman he could imagine building a life with, had he lied? When he spoke about children and a future together, had those words meant nothing? What about that private smile he sometimes gave Daphne after they had spent hours sharing stories, hopes, and dreams? Had that been another performance? It hadn't been a performance for Daphne. Like a fool, she had treasured every smile. They made her feel warm, less alone. His lingering looks had made her believe she was seen, protected, perhaps even understood. Now she feels ridiculous for having slowly handed him her trust along with part of her heart. Their mating ceremony is tomorrow. Earlier tonight, Hunter had stood outside her door, reluctant to leave. He had lingered close enough for his breath to warm her skin, acting as though separating from her for the night was a terrible hardship. "Tomorrow I'll make you mine," he had murmured. He had sounded sincere. All lies. Later, when sleep refused to come and the hours dragged on, Daphne had begun thinking about Hunter. Their mating ceremony would take place before both packs in only a few hours. The idea of being claimed so publicly made her nervous. Perhaps, she had thought, they could take one more private step toward each other first. She imagined finding Hunter asleep and waking him with gentle kisses. Or perhaps he would already be awake, somehow expecting her. Hunter was confident enough for that. He knew perfectly well how handsome he was. He knew the effect his charm had on people. Hunter had indeed been awake. But he had not been waiting for Daphne. He was moaning Jade's name. His arms were locked around the other woman so tightly that he didn't even notice Daphne enter. They were too consumed by each other. and Daphne stood there watching the man who was supposed to claim her tomorrow behave as if Jade were already his. Chapter 2. The worst part is that this is not even the first time Daphne has caught them. The first incident happened only a few weeks after Hunter began courting her. Back then, Daphne had still been cautious around him. It was difficult not to be. Hunter was handsome, powerful, domineering, and capable of exerting control over other shifters with astonishing ease. Even members of Daphne's own pack responded to his authority. Normally, Daphne might have had the luxury of being suspicious, but her pack was already in crisis. Her alpha was Diana, Daphne's older sister and the person she loved most. And Diana had mysteriously fallen ill. No healer could explain it. She had slipped into a coma and remained suspended somewhere between life and death, while everyone around her desperately searched for answers. Without Diana, their pack had become vulnerable. Daphne was a capable beta, but she was no replacement for her sister. She lacked Diana's raw dominance and natural authority. Then Hunter, the powerful alpha of a neighboring pack, proposed a union. If Daphne became his mate, their packs would be joined. Under different circumstances, Diana would never have approved. She had always wanted their people to remain independent. Diana had little interest in expansion or controlling new territory. She wanted to preserve their way of life and protect the freedom that made their pack different. But Diana might never wake. Daphne hated allowing herself to think that. Hope still clung stubbornly to her heart. Yet she could not build the pack's future around hope alone. Her people were small in number and suddenly deprived of their strongest protector. Hunter seemed to offer exactly what they needed. He had been patient with Daphne. Kind, even. He never openly pressured her. Instead, he offered protection from his pack without asking for anything in return. "It's the least I can do for the woman I want as my mate," he had told her. He claimed he would accept no other woman. According to Hunter, he had known almost immediately after meeting Daphne that she was the one. "I only ask that you get to know me," he had said. "Give me some time. Let me show you what we could become." Her people already trusted him. They were grateful for his protection. Many regarded the proposed union as a blessing. How could Daphne refuse to at least let him try? So she had agreed to his courtship. A few weeks later, she found Hunter with Jade for the first time. Jade belonged to Hunter's pack. She possessed the sort of beauty people might speak about for generations. Strong, stunning, charming, everything Daphne believed she herself was not. Surprisingly, Daphne had never hated Jade for that. Envy was not something that came naturally to her. She had spent most of her life walking behind Diana's shadow and had never resented her sister for shining more brightly. Daphne preferred quiet places and solitude anyway. She understood from an early age that those preferences would never make her an ideal pack leader. Packs thrived on hierarchy, on obedience, on a clear center of strength. Daphne's inclination toward independence and questioning things did not translate into the sort of authority shifters respected. As long as Diana was there, that had never mattered. Her sister protected Daphne's freedom. With Diana gone, Daphne increasingly felt she was expected to bend to what everyone else believed was best. Perhaps if Diana had still been awake when Daphne first caught Hunter holding Jade, everything would have changed. Hunter had his nose buried against Jade's neck. His arms were wrapped around her. Daphne confronted him later. "Jade is a good friend," Hunter explained. "She's having a difficult time. She was upset, that's all." He admitted they had once been involved. But that relationship, he promised, was finished. He and Jade still shared a powerful connection, Hunter said, but it was no longer romantic. "I trust Jade with my life. So does my pack. She's important to all of us." Then his expression softened. "To me too." Hunter clearly wanted Daphne and Jade to get along, so Daphne tried. She spent time with Jade and made an effort to know her. There was little she could openly complain about. Jade behaved warmly toward her. She was friendly, welcoming. Still, Something in Jade's eyes always unsettled Daphne whenever Hunter's name came up. A gleam of reverence. Something deeper than friendship. The second time Daphne caught them, they were not merely embracing. Hunter was kissing Jade. Jade sat firmly on his lap with her arms around him. Daphne's heart beat so violently that every pulse seemed to echo through the empty pit of her stomach. She fled. Hunter chased her. He was drunk. He swore repeatedly that it would never happen again. Then he kissed Daphne, his breath thick with alcohol. She did not enjoy that kiss. But things had improved dramatically for her pack since Hunter began courting her. Everyone was safer. The anxiety surrounding Diana's absence had eased. So Daphne closed her eyes to the betrayal. Then there was a third time, and a fourth, and now tonight. Only hours before their mating ceremony. One betrayal too many. This time Hunter finally looks up. His gaze meets Daphne's. His eyes are heavy with pleasure. He knows she is watching, and he does not stop. He does not even take his hands off Jade. That is when the truth strikes Daphne with the force of a physical blow. She has been a fool. Perhaps Hunter is good for the pack, but he is not good for her. Tomorrow she is expected to bind herself permanently to a man who loves somebody else. Worse, Hunter no longer even feels the need to hide that love. He knows Daphne's position. He has already won the loyalty of her people. He will gain her pack without ever having to surrender his mistress. And Daphne no longer knows whether she possesses the power to stop him, because her pack needs Hunter, and Hunter knows it. Chapter 3. Daphne tries to tell someone. Her mother is gone. Diana is unconscious. But there are still people in the pack Daphne once considered friends. During the quiet hours before the mating ceremony, she finds Laura. Laura has known her since childhood. Admitting Hunter's betrayal should make Daphne angry. Instead, shame accompanies every word, almost as though she is the person who has been unfaithful. Laura listens. Then she looks at Daphne with an unexpected hardness in her eyes. "You're a fool if you think he'll ever stop sleeping around." The words are not entirely without sympathy, but they still hurt. He's an alpha, Daphne, and look at him. Women will always want the privilege that comes with his attention. Nobody has ever taught Hunter that enjoying them is wrong. Daphne's cheeks burn. She gives a hesitant nod. "So I should leave him?" Laura laughs. The pity in her expression is worse than the laughter. "Oh, honey, I never said that." Daphne stares. "Why would you deny him?" Laura asks. "He's powerful. He'll be good for the pack." Then her voice gains a warning edge. "Besides, you don't refuse an alpha. Alphas refuse you." Daphne opens her mouth. That is not fair. It is not even reasonable. Before she can argue, the friend she has known since childhood smiles. "And trust me, you'll see, he's very good in bed." Chapter 4. Daphne barely recognizes the woman reflected in the glass. She is wearing an extravagant white gown, a bride prepared for a mating ceremony she no longer wants. Behind her, Jade works carefully through Daphne's hair, arranging it into an elaborate braid. Every few minutes, Jade releases a weary sigh. Hunter's scent is on her. He has apparently made some effort not to mark Jade too obviously immediately before mating another woman, but Daphne's senses are too sharp to miss the mingling of their scents. Jade smells like him. "Do you mind if I sit down?" She does not wait for an answer. Jade drops into a nearby chair and studies Daphne. "You clean up well." Her smile is peaceful. Her cheeks carry a soft pink glow. Then Jade points vaguely toward the room. "Could you get me some fresh water?" A pitcher is easily within Jade's reach. She remains seated anyway, eyelashes fluttering innocently. Daphne looks at her. "Is this some kind of test?" "I've been working on your hair for almost 20 minutes, Jade says pleasantly. Daphne wonders how one of the strongest wolves in Hunter's elite pack could possibly be exhausted after less than half an hour. She does not say it. Apparently, Jade reads the disbelief on her face. "In my current condition, Jade places one hand over her abdomen. I need more rest than usual. Daphne's heartbeat immediately accelerates. She keeps her expression neutral. She refuses to give Jade the satisfaction of watching another humiliation land. Pregnancy really drains your energy, Jade adds. There is something expectant in her eyes. Jade, Daphne says wearily, do we really have to do this? This endless performance of two rivals pretending to be friends. Daphne has never enjoyed pretending. Jade's expression sharpens. I thought you'd be happy for me. You haven't even congratulated me. The accusation is ridiculous. Daphne owes her nothing. Still, guilt somehow creeps in. Perhaps she should have offered congratulations. The thought irritates her even more. I assume Hunter is the father? Jade straightens. Her normally pleasant floral scent turns sour. We didn't plan it. Her smile is too wide. You know what men are like. Daphne frowns. Are you saying you didn't want it? She means the question sincerely. That is why Jade's slap takes her completely by surprise. Daphne barely catches Jade's wrist before the second strike lands. How dare you suggest it isn't an honor to serve my alpha? Jade shrieks. Her face twists with fury. Of course I was willing. Daphne wants to tell her nobody should feel obligated to become intimate with another person simply because that person is an alpha. But she is occupied, preventing Jade from hitting her again. Jade struggles. Her eyes flash gold. Then Hunter enters. His alpha presence fills the room immediately. What is the meaning of this? Jade changes in an instant. Her fury disappears beneath a wounded expression. Alpha. She pulls herself toward Hunter. She attacked me. Hunter's stare turns cold as it settles on Daphne. Daphne releases Jade. Congratulations on the pregnancy, she tells Hunter evenly. You must be thrilled. His gaze flickers toward Jade. Jade reluctantly loosens her hold on him. I thought she already knew, Jade says. Surely the news of you having an heir. Leave us. Hunter's command ends the conversation. Jade bows and leaves, though not happily. Once they are alone, Hunter comes to Daphne and sits beside her. He kisses her cheek. You look beautiful. His eyes move over her with open approval. I couldn't be more pleased about taking a mate. Daphne says nothing. The silence stretches. Eventually Hunter sighs. Don't worry about the pregnancy. It changes nothing. Jade's child obviously won't be my heir. You told me things were over between you. They were. For a while? Hunter looks mildly annoyed. You can't expect me to remain completely celibate before you and I begin sleeping together. And you can't expect me to believe the affair will magically end once we do. Daphne wishes she could discuss this like a business agreement. Instead, heat burns her cheeks. Something tightens painfully around her heart. She cannot tell whether the stronger emotion is sorrow or humiliation. I'm an alpha, Daphne. Hunter says it as if those words explain everything. I have needs. Jade understands that. You will too. He smirks. Trust me. Eventually you'll be begging me to visit somebody else's bed just so you can have a little peace. Daphne considers him. Fine. Hunter looks satisfied too quickly. So you're proposing an open relationship, Daphne continues. You expect me to accept your mistresses. Accept? Hunter scoffs, as though the idea of requiring her permission is amusing. Then, perhaps seeing that Daphne is serious, he settles. Yes, I'll have mistresses, but only the children you give me will inherit the pack. Daphne turns fully toward him. If you're allowed mistresses, I'll have lovers. Hunter's eyes narrow. His scent changes immediately. You're about to become an alpha's mate. You won't need lovers. His voice contains a growl. It isn't always about need, Daphne replies calmly. Sometimes it's about wanting someone. Hunter's fist slams into the table. He rises so quickly the chair jerks beneath him. You will never be touched by another man. Do I make myself clear? The alpha command crashes over Daphne. Her body goes silent before her mind agrees. Hunter watches her forced compliance and looks pleased. Good. He straightens. I'll see you in a moment. Chapter 5. I don't want this. The thought repeats with every step Daphne takes down the aisle. She truly does not want this. But everyone is watching. Friends she grew up beside. Family. Her grandmother is on one side, scattering petals. Her father holds Daphne's arm on the other. Warriors. Healers. The young. The old. Members of Daphne's pack and Hunter's pack fill the gathering. Almost everyone important is here. Except Diana. It feels wrong without her sister. It feels wrong when Daphne finally places her hand in Hunter's. For the pack, she tells herself. This is for the pack. She promises fidelity while grinding her teeth. Hunter promises the same thing back. The hypocrisy hurts. He looks beautiful today. Golden skin. Golden curls framing his face. Dimples when he smiles. Warm brown eyes fixed upon Daphne. She wonders whether he imagines Jade standing where she stands. Hunter is significantly taller than Daphne, broad even by shifter standards. He always seems impossibly strong. The image of a perfect alpha. Perfect for the pack, Daphne reminds herself. Soon, as tradition requires, Hunter will give her the mating bite before everyone they know. His mouth approaches her neck. His teeth brush her skin. And Daphne jumps away. Gasps ripple across the gathering. Wait! Every eye locks on her. Hunter catches her forearm. His fingers tighten. What are you doing? He mutters. His grip hurts. Daphne cannot decide whether that pain is intentional or whether Hunter simply does not bother controlling his strength. Neither possibility feels acceptable. Her thoughts spin. Her chest aches. Then Daphne recognizes something beneath all the confusion. Fear. She is afraid of the man she is about to accept as her mate. And suddenly she wonders whether something that terrifies her can truly be right for her pack. I need a moment. Her voice is faint. Before Hunter can stop her, Daphne turns and rushes back into the reception house. Chapter 6. Get yourself together. Daphne whispers the command at her own reflection. Her voice sounds rough. She paces across the bridal room, the expensive white fabric trailing after her. Sunset gives the room a beautiful golden glow. The decorations are elegant. Everything around her looks prepared for happiness. That only makes the dread inside Daphne feel worse. Outside, the reception continues. Music and laughter drift through open windows. Guests talk and celebrate, unaware of the chaos consuming the bride. Jade's pregnancy hurts. Hunter's repeated betrayal hurts. But that is not the only reason Daphne fled. Something feels wrong in a way she cannot explain. Something larger than humiliation. Jade carrying Hunter's child proves his affection never belonged solely to Daphne. Yet beneath that pain is another sensation. A warning. Daphne presses a hand against her racing heart. It's only hurt, she tells herself. Only betrayal. You believed you might grow to love him, and now you know you were deceived. You're overreacting. Her instincts refuse to accept the explanation. The unease grows stronger. Hunter is supposedly the alpha her people need. The union offers protection, stability, strength. Her duty should be obvious. At least, everyone has spent months telling her it is. But alone in the bridal chamber, Daphne begins questioning everything. The needs of the pack suddenly feel distant, compared with the immediate certainty that something dangerous is closing around her. The problem is not only Hunter's unfaithfulness. It is everything about his behavior. Everything has been too convenient, too carefully arranged. Daphne looks down at her magnificent gown. It no longer feels like a symbol of celebration. It feels like a cage. When she and Diana were children, their grandmother constantly reminded them to trust their instincts. Shifters possessed senses their human minds did not always understand. Sometimes the animal inside recognized danger first. Diana had disliked Hunter from the beginning. At the time, Daphne never understood why. Hunter had actually approached Diana first. He came during a celebration. Radiant. Powerful. The sort of man every head turned toward. He asked Diana to dance and watched her throughout the night. Daphne remembers feeling jealous. She can admit that now. Diana already possessed everything Daphne lacked. She was the alpha, the stronger shifter, the admired sister, and then another powerful alpha arrived and seemed captivated by her. It had looked like the beginning of an extraordinary alliance. But Diana rejected him. Soon afterward, she became ill, and suddenly Daphne gained everything she had once envied. Hunter's attention, greater respect within the pack, the possibility of becoming an alpha's mate. But she lost Diana. People say you never understand what you have until it is gone. Hunter's angry voice echoes outside the room. He is waiting. Everyone is waiting. Daphne struggles to breathe. She has to choose. Walking away could endanger her pack. Her fingers tremble as they reach for her veil. You're being petty, she tells herself. Diana would do what was necessary. Diana would protect the pack. But Diana had never trusted Hunter. Daphne forces the thought aside. She opens the door. Hunter's voice is louder now. Jade answers him from somewhere above. Something inside Daphne urges her toward the sound. She climbs the stairs instead of returning to the ceremony. Why did you have to tell her about the baby? Hunter growls. I told you. I thought she knew. Liar. You couldn't wait until after I mated with her? You had to let your petty jealousy take control. I'm not jealous. Jade's voice hardens. I know what's at stake. Do you? Hunter sounds furious. We need this pack, Jade. We need the power they have. You know I disagree. They're weak. We could have taken them by force, but you insisted on trying to get with the sister. Hunter's voice turns mocking. So this is about Diana again? A pause. You were obsessed with Diana. Then Hunter asks the question that stops Daphne's heart. Is that why you poisoned her? Poisoned. Daphne cannot breathe. Everyone believed Diana was mysteriously ill. Not one healer could understand why she remained trapped in that unnatural sleep. You want her pack, Jade replies. I want you. Her tone softens. Best of both worlds. Daphne turns. She no longer cares whether they hear her. The conversation abruptly stops behind her. She bursts back into the bridal room. Then her body begins changing almost before she consciously commands it. Her human form shrinks. Wings burst free. The wedding dress collapses to the floor. Daphne launches herself through the open window and flies. Chapter 7. Hunter's people can become wolves. They cannot fly. Unfortunately, several members of Daphne's own pack can. She knows someone may come after her. Perhaps they will try dragging her back by force. Perhaps they will only attempt to persuade her. Either possibility makes panic climb through Daphne. Nothing feels more unbearable than captivity while she is wearing the form that has always meant freedom. The wind catches beneath her wings. Daphne climbs. Higher. Faster. She cannot waste a second. The ground shrinks beneath her. Forests become great patches of green and gold. Treetops ripple like an emerald sea. Every beat of her wings carries her farther from Hunter. Farther from the mating ceremony. Farther from the obligations that have controlled her for months. The air is cold and clean. For several precious moments, Daphne feels lighter than she has in years. The fear fades. The guilt loosens. The pack feels distant. Hunter feels distant. She remembers what it is like simply to belong to herself. Then an arrow tears through her wing. Pain explodes across her body. Daphne tries to scream. In this form, only a sharp, terrified cry emerges. Her flight stutters. She fights desperately to stay in the air. The arrow is embedded deeply. She needs to land. She needs to shift back and remove it. Her movements become uneven as she angles toward the canopy. Another arrow whistles past. It grazes her feathers. This is no accident. Someone is shooting at her. Someone is hunting her. Daphne's heart pounds as she turns toward the blazing sun, hoping its glare will make her difficult to target. For a few seconds, it works. No arrow reaches her. The approaching treetops seem impossibly far away. Her injured wing burns. Another arrow slices through the air and misses. Daphne forces herself downward. Then the damaged wing fails. She strikes a branch. The impact throws her sideways. Her body crashes through leaves and smaller limbs before slamming hard into the forest floor. For a moment, she cannot understand which direction is up. Pain consumes everything. Her body refuses to cooperate. Then she hears footsteps. Coming closer. Whoever fired the arrows is approaching. Panic takes over. Daphne begins changing back. The transformation hurts, but she needs hands. Her wings become arms. Feathers disappear. The arrow is now embedded in her human limb. Blood slicks her fingers as she grips the shaft. She pulls. Agony nearly blinds her. The arrow finally comes free. Daphne almost collapses from the effort. The footsteps are much closer now. A man's voice reaches her. She cannot understand the words, only the urgency. Her vision darkens, and Daphne loses consciousness. Chapter 8. Awareness returns slowly. Warmth surrounds Daphne. Her eyes remain closed. She is lying on what might be the softest bed she has ever touched. For once, she feels rested. The mattress seems almost cloud-like. Daphne has absolutely no desire to move. Then she stretches one arm. A dull ache reminds her of the arrow. Her eyes open. Golden dusk spills through enormous windows. The bedroom around her is breathtaking. Flowers bloom in brilliant colors across the room. For several seconds, Daphne forgets every sensible question she should be asking. Where is she? Who brought her here? How long has she been unconscious? Her stomach finally interrupts the wonder with a sharp demand for food. Daphne climbs from the bed. Satin slippers wait beneath her feet. The marble floor feels cool and smooth. One wall holds an enormous collection of books. On the opposite side of the room is a small indoor pond with a graceful waterfall. The gentle sound immediately reminds Daphne of a park Diana used to take her to when they were children. Is this a dream? The last clear memory Daphne has is being shot from the sky. Perhaps she died. Perhaps this is whatever comes afterward. The idea should frighten her. Instead, everything around her seems designed specifically to make her comfortable. For the first time since Diana became ill, Daphne's worries become strangely quiet. She approaches a window. A vast castle stretches around her. Spire after spire rises toward the sky. Turrets shimmer beneath the eternal-looking light. Gardens overflowing with impossible flowers extend into the distance. The castle appears less constructed than dreamed into existence. A strange humming seems to move through the air, as if the structure itself is breathing. The beauty is peaceful, and somehow unsettling. How could Daphne never have heard of a place like this? It should be famous, unless she has been carried very far from home. When she turns back, the bed has already been perfectly made. A shimmering silver gown now rests across it. Daphne frowns. Her instincts tighten. Something about the room is wrong. She approaches a wall covered with roses. The nearest bloom looks flawless. She leans closer. Almost no scent. For something so visually perfect, the absence is disturbing. Artificial. The silver dress on the bed vanishes. A simple shirt and jeans replace it. Daphne stares. Then, oddly relieved, she dresses and leaves the bedroom. Chapter 9. Hunter paces through the pack house like a trapped animal. He never expected Daphne to escape. Perhaps he should have. She is Diana's sister, after all. And Diana had once done something no woman before her managed. She denied him. Hunter originally approached Diana because she was the alpha of an unusual pack. Her people were capable of transformations beyond wolves. Some could shift into many different animals. Diana herself was exceptionally powerful. Rumors of her beauty were accurate too. Not that she had ever surpassed Jade in Hunter's eyes. Jade possessed a classical beauty that drew attention everywhere she went. Hunter enjoyed seeing other men envy him. That was one reason Jade had remained his favorite longer than any mistress before her. Diana inspired something different. She carried herself with quiet strength, a stubborn certainty. She did not want Hunter. She did not want his help. She did not appear to believe she needed either. And that rejection awakened something ugly and hungry inside him. The more Diana refused, the more necessary possessing her became. Hunter courted her exactly as he imagined she wanted to be courted. He pretended to be a patient ally, a trusted friend, a man who respected her opinions and viewed her as an equal. All the while, he waited for the day she would finally become his. Eventually she would beg. They always did. Jade had been promised to someone else when Hunter first met her. Supposedly she had been in love. Now she belonged to Hunter. Diana would eventually belong to him too. And through her, so would her pack. Except Diana never surrendered. She finally told Hunter she intended to surrender to nobody. She had no interest in romantic relationships and planned to remain celibate for life. Hunter laughed when he first heard it. Then he realized she meant every word. He had begun considering different methods. Fear, for example. Fear was useful. He could threaten Diana into a union and wait for desire to follow later. Before that became necessary, Diana fell mysteriously ill. By the time Hunter discovered Jade had poisoned her, his attention had already shifted. If Diana was unavailable, her younger sister would do. Daphne was far less interesting. Hunter did not consider her particularly beautiful either, but mating Daphne would still hand him Diana's pack. That was valuable enough. Daphne even smelled similar to her sister. Sometimes that quiet determination entered her expression, and the resemblance became stronger. Hunter expected the mating to be easy. Daphne was practical, modest, intelligent enough to understand necessity. And, most importantly, Hunter assumed she would allow him to live exactly as he pleased. Then she ran. And something inside him changed. Diana would never take him now, even if she recovered. She would never choose the man once promised to her sister. But Daphne? Daphne had escaped him. Suddenly she became interesting. Hunter had expected her to bore him. Instead, his mind keeps circling around her absence. She is no longer merely a convenient mate. She is a prize that has resisted being claimed. A challenge. And Hunter loves challenges. The idea of tracking Daphne through the forest excites him. He imagines finally catching her. The fear in her eyes. The struggle. The moment resistance becomes surrender. The more she fights, the sweeter defeating her will feel. Hunter is tired of women defying him. He will bring Daphne back. He will mate her whether she wants him or not. She dared to run. He will make certain she never does it again. Daphne is his prey now, and Hunter intends to claim her no matter what it takes. Chapter 11. Open corridors follow the castle walls, framed by elegant arches. Beyond them, the sky remains trapped in amber, rose, and lavender, as though sunset has stopped moving. Daphne realizes the light has not changed since she awakened. By now it should be night. Yet dusk remains frozen. Her human side finds the sight beautiful. Her animal instincts remain tense. She begins looking for an exit. The task is far harder than expected. Corridors twist into other corridors. Narrow passageways suddenly open onto huge verandas. Staircases appear where Daphne is sure there had been walls. Doors lead into new halls. Tapestries depict scenes she does not recognize. Sometimes she wonders whether she is finding her own way through the castle. Other times she suspects the building itself is guiding her, or distracting her. There is no question magic exists here. Perhaps the entire structure is made from it. Daphne should probably be more frightened. Magic is rarely harmless, yet a deep peace follows her through the halls. Fountains whisper in distant courtyards. The sound gradually slows her steps. Why hurry? What exactly waits outside? Betrayal? Hunter? A pack she is no longer certain will believe her? Then another need surfaces. Hunger. Almost immediately, Daphne finds herself before two beautifully carved doors. They open into a dining hall grand enough to stop her in place. A long table is covered with food. Roasted meat glistens beneath warm light. Creamy soups steam in silver dishes. There are bowls of buttery potatoes, fresh salads, soft bread, shining fruit, delicate pastries, dark cakes, and smooth custards. Daphne's mouth waters. She sits. The first bite is extraordinary. Then the next. Everything tastes better than it should. The meat is tender. The bread perfectly crisp outside and soft within. Fruit bursts with sweetness. But the thing Daphne enjoys most is silence. She has spent her entire life inside a pack. Someone was always nearby. Meals meant voices, movement, noise. Here there is only the quiet touch of silverware and the occasional movement of fabric. For the first time in her life, Daphne eats completely alone. And instead of loneliness, she feels something dangerously close to belonging. Chapter 12. Daphne repeatedly tells herself she should leave. She has no idea exactly how long she has remained in the castle. With dusk frozen outside, time feels meaningless. But it has certainly been long enough. Whoever owns the place must eventually grow tired of an uninvited guest wandering through it. And while peace is wonderful, nobody can live entirely alone forever. Can they? So Daphne searches for an exit. Again and again. Yet every time she becomes determined, something catches her attention. A new garden. A room filled with books. A hidden balcony. A fountain. A painting. Just another minute, she thinks. When will she ever see a place like this again? And there is another reason leaving becomes difficult. Outside the castle waits Hunter. Now that Daphne has had enough quiet to think and her injury is healing, the conversation she overheard becomes impossible to ignore. Hunter did not merely cheat on her. He did not merely impregnate Jade. He originally wanted Diana. And whether or not Hunter personally poisoned her sister, he knew Jade was responsible, and apparently did nothing. Because Hunter wanted their pack. What would he do now that Daphne had refused him? What would he do to her people? How could Daphne stop him? She cannot confront Hunter alone. Yet could she rely on her own pack? They adore him. Hunter arrived when they were afraid and vulnerable. He protected them. To many of her people, he is a savior, the perfect alpha. If Daphne returns accusing him of manipulation, who will believe her? Diana might have united everyone against Hunter, but Daphne is not Diana, and she possesses no proof. While thinking about it, she enters a darker corridor. Mirrors line both walls. Daphne wishes she could know what is happening back home, what Hunter is doing. Then she sees him. Daphne gasps. Hunter appears in the mirror beside her. She spins around. The corridor is empty. When she looks back, Hunter remains trapped inside the reflection. His face is twisted with anger. I want her found. He is speaking to people Daphne cannot see. Search every part of the forest. Every one of you will participate. Bring Daphne back to me. His authority makes Daphne shiver. Is this what everyone admires? The threat beneath every command? Or is it simply useful to have something dangerous fighting on your side? Hunter is a weapon, and weapons are safest when pointed away from you. Daphne understands now that she once fell for the same illusion. Diana did not. Diana recognized something in Hunter, and she suffered for it. Daphne sinks to her knees. She would give anything to speak with her sister, anything to hear Diana tell her what to do. To hell with all of it. Daphne freezes. She turns toward another mirror. Diana is there. Healthy. Strong. exactly as she looked before the poisoning. Golden hair spills past her shoulders. Her dark eyes are calm. Sister, relief floods Daphne so strongly it hurts. Diana, how are you here? Are you all right? Never better. Diana smiles. Don't worry about me, Daphne. I'm the oldest. It's my job to worry about you. Tears fill Daphne's eyes. But you were gone. She reaches toward the glass. You were gone, and everything fell apart. Diana, Hunter wants our pack. He still wants to mate me. That is absolutely out of the question. Diana snaps. He is not a good man. He doesn't deserve you. I know, but what about the pack? Let me handle the pack. Diana's voice softens. You are safe here, aren't you? Daphne hesitates. Yes. And hasn't this palace given you everything you wanted? Isn't it the most beautiful refuge you've ever seen? It is. Daphne exhales. Then something bothers her. But what about you? I would miss you if I stayed here. Diana smiles again. Why? We're together now. That makes perfect sense. Everything is wonderful here. Daphne is safe. Diana is here. There is no reason to leave. Then a large hand suddenly covers Daphne's mouth. An arm pulls her backward. A deep male voice speaks near her ear. Don't turn around. Walk straight ahead. Daphne wants to fight. She wants to scream. She wants to twist around and see who has grabbed her. Instead, her foot moves forward. Then the other. Her body obeys despite her mind demanding something else. Good, the man says. Keep walking until you reach the stairs. Then his tone changes, softer and almost apologetic. Don't be afraid. I'm not going to hurt you. Daphne would like to laugh bitterly at that. Instead, she asks, where are we going? Whoever this man is, he possesses enough control over her body that provoking him seems unwise. Outside the castle. Daphne keeps walking. I should have taken you out much sooner. I didn't think it would enthrall you this quickly. Enthrall me? That's what it does. The answer should create more questions than it solves. But Daphne's thoughts feel strangely slow. They pass through room after beautiful room. Part of her desperately wants to stop and admire each one. Her feet continue moving anyway. Are you the person who brought me here? The stranger goes quiet. Yes, you were injured. I thought bringing you inside was best. Before Daphne can thank him, he continues. I'm not sure that was true anymore. Another pause. I'm sorry I shot you. I was hunting for food. I didn't know you were a shifter. I haven't encountered one in years. They reach the staircase. The urge to turn around becomes overwhelming. Daphne begins twisting her neck. Please, the man says. His voice is almost strained. Daphne stops. You will not turn around until I tell you. Follow my instructions. The command becomes absolute. Go down the stairs. Daphne obeys. They enter the gardens. Endless flowers spread beneath golden light. Why were you hunting for food? Daphne asks. There's food everywhere here. That food isn't real. What? It's an enchantment. Enchanted food can create the sensation of eating, but it cannot nourish you. If you paid close attention, you would realize you're still hungry. Daphne almost argues. The feast had tasted real. She had felt satisfied. But now she notices the agitation inside her animal side. Her instincts are hungry. You would have noticed eventually, the stranger says. They arrive at enormous gates. Daphne obeys. Footsteps approach. The man's presence becomes close enough that every instinct she possesses notices it. Something is placed into her palm. A small package. Food. Nothing about its scent compares with the feast inside the castle. Yet her body reacts far more strongly. Leftover meat, the stranger explains. I cooked it. It isn't much of an apology, but I don't have anything else I can give you. Everything the castle creates would disappear outside these grounds. Please. Daphne hears desperation enter her own voice. Can I stay a little longer? She has no plan. No safe destination. She knows she must somehow stop Hunter, but she has no idea how. Working that out inside this impossible refuge seems infinitely better than doing it alone in the forest. That isn't possible. The regret in the man's voice sounds sincere. It's not safe here. It isn't safe outside either. People are looking for me. They're after my pack. Outside is still safer than remaining inside this castle. Believe me. His voice firms. Walk through the gates. Continue for 10 minutes without looking back. After that, you can do anything you wish. I have nowhere to go. Daphne hates how frightened she sounds. This is for your own good. His voice is farther away now. He hesitates. I'm sorry you ever came here. Daphne passes through the gates. Her body keeps walking despite every protest in her mind. She enters familiar woods. She knows these trees. She is only about an hour north of her pack's land, far too close to Hunter's territory. Finally, the invisible control disappears. Daphne whirls around, then falls to her knees. The castle was enormous. Its towers should rise above the forest from this distance. But there is nothing. No walls, no spires, no golden light. The castle has vanished as though it never existed. Chapter 13. Daphne wanders through the forest without direction. Night has replaced the impossible sunset of the castle. Dark branches knit together overhead. Leaves whisper in the cold wind. An owl calls somewhere in the distance. Twigs crack beneath Daphne's shoes. Normally, darkness does not frighten her. The uncertainty does. Did she imagine the castle? Was the strange man real? His voice remains clear in her mind. So does the horrifying ease with which he controlled her body. Perhaps the arrow wound caused a fever. But shifters rarely become ill. Their bodies recover rapidly. Daphne has survived injuries before. None produced hallucinations like that. And if it was all a dream, why is she still holding the meat he gave her? She retraces her path more than once. Nothing. No castle. No gate. Stay unnoticed. Stay silent. No gardens. Only trees. The little parcel in Daphne's hand becomes the sole physical evidence that any of it happened. Who was that man? How could he command her so completely? Alphas could compel weaker shifters. Daphne knew the force of Hunter's authority. But this was different. Hunter could pressure her. This stranger could simply speak and make resistance impossible. The thought of Hunter returns Daphne to immediate reality. He will search for her. Hunter does not tolerate losing. Eventually he will find her unless she can create a plan first. The forest seems unnaturally still. Daphne needs somewhere safe enough to rest. She considers shifting into her bird form. Her arm is still too sore. Flying would be difficult for several more hours. Changing shape would also intensify her scent. Hunter would track her more easily. And she would lose the clothes she currently wears. If only Daphne possessed Diana's gift. Most shifters can take only one animal form. Daphne's pack is unusual, because their bloodline still carries the ancient ability to become multiple creatures. Diana can take more than 10 forms. Daphne has managed only one. Her bird. With no better option, she settles beneath a tree. She cannot risk a fire. The night is cold. Eventually, exhaustion wins. Daphne sleeps against the trunk. Chapter 14. A snapping twig wakes her. Daphne's eyes open. Hunter stands several feet away in wolf form. 2 of his men are already moving around her sides. I only want to talk. Hunter shifts back into human form and raises his hands. Daphne almost laughs. If conversation is his goal, why surround her? She prepares to transform. Hunter cannot fly. Neither can his wolves. Then a familiar voice comes from behind Daphne. Daphne, please stay still. Her stomach drops. Her father. He can become a bird. If Daphne takes to the sky, he can follow. What are you doing here? She asks. Her father looks wounded. You ran away from your mating ceremony. What did you expect? I was worried. We've come to take you home, Hunter adds. He smiles. Once, Daphne mistook those smiles for warmth. Now she sees the satisfaction of a man expecting obedience. What if I don't want to go home? Her father frowns. Don't be ridiculous. Where would you go? Live among humans? Find some office job? You're a shifter, Daphne. You belong with your people. Some members of our pack work with humans. They were educated and prepared for that so they could support the pack. You never expressed any interest in that life. You never asked. Daphne exhales sharply. Does anybody here care what I want? Hunter's expression cools. Daphne, you're the beta of your pack. You're the last remaining heir beneath your alpha. I know your people matter to you. So why are you suddenly behaving like an entitled child? Entitled? Her father actually nods. This isn't you, he says. What could possibly make you run away during the most important event of your life? I didn't realize an arranged mating was supposed to be the greatest achievement of my existence. Even while speaking, Daphne searches for an escape. If she shifts, her father will follow. Normally, she could probably outfly him. Daphne spends far more time in the air than he does. But she is injured. Everything I've done is because I want you happy, Hunter says. Daphne stares at him. Is that why you got another woman pregnant? For my happiness? That is not even Hunter's worst crime. There is Diana. But Daphne refuses to mention what she overheard. Not yet. If Hunter realizes she knows the truth, he might hurt her. He might even hurt her father simply to remove a witness. Better to let Hunter believe she remains ignorant. Hunter is an alpha male, her father says. You cannot seriously expect him to save himself for one woman. Daphne looks at him in disbelief. Her father never betrayed her mother. As far as Daphne knows, he was faithful throughout their marriage. Why is he suddenly speaking as though fidelity is absurd? Are you really that afraid of him? Daphne points toward Hunter. You're willing to agree with anything he says? Her father's expression tightens. That is answer enough. We need him, he finally admits. More than you understand. Diana didn't think so. Enough. Hunter advances. You promised yourself to me, Daphne. Another step. You're mine. His gaze lowers toward her neck. Daphne's blood turns cold. Is he going to mark her here? Force the mating bite in front of her father and his men? Stay where you are. She backs into the tree. Hunter smiles. Her fear excites him. Daphne can smell it. He enjoys having her trapped. He enjoyed chasing her. Now he wants to stretch out the moment he catches her. Don't touch me. Hunter approaches without hurry. When he finally lunges, Daphne kicks him. The blow barely affects him. Hunter grabs her arm and hauls her upright. Daphne, his smirk widens. That is not how an alpha's mate behaves. She bares her teeth. She cannot become a wolf, but she grew up around enough wolf shifters to share some of their instincts. Hunter drags her closer. It is too late to shift now. Daphne should have transformed immediately and taken her chances against her father. Instead, fear froze her. She always believed danger would make her fight or flee. Apparently, there is a third possibility. Sometimes the body simply stops. Hunter bends toward her neck. Daphne refuses to close her eyes. She refuses to cry. If he marks her, she wants him to remember the hatred in her expression, not the fear. His teeth are almost against her skin. Freeze. The voice comes from the forest. Daphne recognizes it instantly. The castle owner. Deep, controlled, exactly as she remembers. Unlike everyone else, Daphne is not surprised when her entire body locks. Hunter is. His eyes widen. Who's there? His voice becomes dangerous. Show yourself. A quiet sound comes from Daphne's left. Almost a snort. Apparently the mysterious man finds Hunter amusing. That is a first. The stranger's voice remains calm. Bold of you to assume you could endure looking at me, shifter. Despite how deeply I dislike you, I would not inflict that upon you. Daphne has no idea what that means. Close your eyes, All of you. Her eyes shut instantly. So do the others. Daphne hears footsteps. Then cold fingers close around her hand. Come with me, Daphne. The stranger turns slightly. The rest of you will remain exactly where you are until sunrise. Daphne is led away. She cannot see anything. Only the large, icy hand holding hers. Hunter's furious voice follows them. If you think I'm letting you get away with this, you're a fool. Daphne is my mate-to-be. You'll regret taking what belongs to me. Daphne feels the stranger shrug beside her. He does not sound concerned. You can try. Chapter 15. A primal growl builds in Hunter's chest. Fury, humiliation, possessiveness. This was supposed to be simple. Daphne was supposed to become his. His to claim, his to control, his to break if necessary. Instead, an unknown man walked into Hunter's hunt and took her from him. Another male now has Daphne. The thought drives Hunter toward madness. His obsession deepens. He imagines finding them, dragging Daphne back, teaching her what defiance costs. But now punishing Daphne will not be enough. Hunter wants revenge against the stranger too. He imagines Daphne watching while her supposed savior is destroyed. The man dared to challenge an alpha. Worse, he hid his face like a coward while using some unnatural power to immobilize Hunter. No ordinary shifter could do that. Hunter will discover what he is, and then he will destroy him. By the time Hunter regains control of his own body, rage has consumed every other thought. His men look toward him uncertainly. Hunter barely notices. Spread out. His voice is low. We are not leaving until we find them. The men obey. The hunt continues. Chapter 16. Daphne jumps whenever leaves rustle. Every distant cracking branch sounds like pursuit. But after they have walked for nearly 15 minutes, Hunter and his men are nowhere behind them. I suppose you weren't exaggerating when you said people were after you. The mysterious man's voice breaks the silence. Daphne keeps her eyes shut. One cold hand remains wrapped around hers, guiding her through the forest. Roots catch at her feet. Every time she stumbles, the stranger steadies her. My father was with them. Daphne says it almost to herself. She still cannot understand that part. Her father could have searched for her alone. He could have asked what happened. He could have questioned why she no longer wanted Hunter. Months ago, he could have spoken with Daphne about what the mating meant for her future. Instead, he came with Hunter. The cold hand around hers tightens for a second. Then relaxes. Betrayal by family is the worst kind. The stranger speaks quietly. Night insects sing around them. Small animals move through leaves. The scent of damp soil helps Daphne remain grounded. What's your name? Gray. Daphne thinks it is an unusual name. She keeps that opinion to herself. Are you taking me back to the castle, Gray? You are not my prisoner. If you want, I can leave you here. His tone is sincere. Or you may hide in the castle for now. Nobody will find you there. The castle cannot be located unless I personally guide someone to it. Relief strikes Daphne immediately. A magically hidden fortress is exactly what she needs. Then she remembers Gray forcing her out earlier. You said the castle was dangerous. It is. Did you build it? Gray makes a short, amused sound. Sorry, I wasn't expecting that question. Daphne waits. No, construction is not one of my talents. The castle was created by a powerful magician whose magic is directly connected to a demon. Daphne nearly stops walking. That does not make me feel better. I didn't imagine it would. Why would a magician like that give you a castle? He didn't give me his castle. He created it for me. Gray hesitates. I wished for it. You made a wish to a demon-bound magician for a hidden magical castle? Yes. Gray sounds almost embarrassed. When you phrase it like that, it does make me sound like an idiot. Daphne decides not to answer. Is the magic why the castle is dangerous? Partly. Gray exhales. If you insist on staying there, we'll need rules to keep you safe. Can you explain what makes it dangerous? The castle wants its inhabitants content. It will reshape itself around their desires. That sounds pleasant. Too much comfort can be dangerous. Gray's voice becomes serious. That place is not freedom, Daphne. It gives you the illusion of freedom. Daphne thinks about how often she tried to leave and became distracted. How many hours would she have remained if Gray had never pulled her from the mirrors? I was always taught magic has another side, she says, that it never gives exactly what it appears to give. That's true. Gray's tone darkens. I paid a very high price for that castle. He offers no details. Then Gray stops. You can leave from here if you want. Shift and fly. You'll have most of the night to put distance between yourself and Hunter. Daphne considers it. The castle might be a trap. An incredibly beautiful trap, but still a trap. Shifters are taught to distrust enchantments. Yet Daphne has very few alternatives. You said the castle itself is only the beginning of the danger. Gray becomes still. Yes. What else is there? A pause. Me. Daphne turns her head instinctively despite keeping her eyes shut. You? Perhaps Gray means his strange ability to command people. So far, however, he has done nothing that suggests he wishes to hurt her. He has rescued her twice. You've probably noticed I refuse to let you look at me. Yes. There is a reason. His voice becomes heavy. If you see me, something terrible will happen to you. Daphne swallows. What? I suppose I should explain. He sounds almost sad. But that night he does not. Chapter 17. Daphne and Gray eventually create a system. If she remains in the castle, they cannot risk accidentally encountering each other. During the day, Daphne is free to explore. Gray stays inside his own bedroom. It is the one room she is absolutely forbidden to enter. At night, Daphne sleeps while Gray moves through the castle. Of course, the castle itself never changes. Golden dusk remains outside at every hour. How are we supposed to know whether it's actually day or night? Daphne asks. Gray gives her a small gold watch. It shows the time as well as the lunar cycle. Stay as long as you need, he tells her. Just remember that anything the castle creates as food won't sustain you. There are bows in the stables if you want to hunt. I can also leave meat from my own hunts in the kitchen. Gray keeps that promise. Daphne does not see him again after returning. Considering what he eventually tells her, that is probably safest. Anyone who sees my face becomes cursed. Cursed? Cursed? Afflicted. Call it whatever you like. His tone is bitter. One look has ruined enough people already. I wouldn't wish what happens to them upon my worst enemy. Then his voice softens. And I certainly don't want it happening to you. So Daphne follows the rules. During the day, she explores or hunts. At night, she closes herself inside the bedroom. In bird form, distinguishing real things from the castle's illusions is easier. Daphne hunts for berries and insects that exist beneath the enchantment. She also finds seeds. In human form, she begins planting vegetables in one of the rear gardens. Partly for herself, partly for Gray. It seems like the least she can do. The garden cannot immediately provide enough food. More than once, Daphne has to rely on the cooked meat Gray leaves in the kitchen. It tastes smoky, as if prepared over a campfire. Eating wild animals carries risks for humans. Daphne's shifter body can recover from almost any normal illness, so she does not worry. That thought makes her wonder what Gray is. He has extraordinary power. He lives in a magical castle. He can make an alpha freeze with one word. Yet Daphne knows almost nothing else. Living beside someone she never sees feels strange. She remains careful about accidentally crossing paths with him. At the same time, gratitude grows. After roughly a week, Gray gives Daphne a way to repay him without actually asking. She discovers a drawing room. Warm light falls across a desk. The room is so peaceful that Daphne immediately loves it. She has not drawn seriously in years. On impulse, she sketches the castle from memory, as she has seen it while flying overhead. The first attempt is rough. She gets distracted when another bird approaches her garden and has to fly outside to chase it away. The next day, Daphne returns. A small note waits beside the unfinished sketch. Is that what the castle looks like from the sky? The handwriting is elaborate, elegant, slightly shaky. Daphne immediately knows Gray wrote it. There is something about the careful shape of the letters that seems to fit the voice she knows. Not exactly, Daphne writes beneath his message. Give me another day. Me. She flies high above the castle and memorizes every detail she can. That evening, Daphne creates a far more accurate drawing. At the bottom she writes 2 words. For Gray. Then beneath them, thank you. Daphne nearly erases the message. Her own handwriting looks embarrassingly plain compared with his. More importantly, one drawing feels completely inadequate beside everything Gray is giving her. Shelter, food, safety, time. Still, she does not know what else to offer. She leaves it. The following day, Daphne returns to the room feeling unexpectedly nervous. Her picture is gone. Another note sits in its place. Gray's letters are controlled and careful, although a few lines trail away strangely. Can you make more? Daphne smiles. And she does. Chapter 18. Hunter sits inside the dim pack house with a slow smile. He has stopped relying solely on hunters. He has a better strategy. Finding Daphne is not enough. Hunter wants her broken before she returns. He wants to strip away every place she might seek protection. And the easiest weapon is her own pack. They are frightened. Their alpha remains unconscious. All Hunter needs is the right lie. Diana is beloved. If the pack believes Daphne harmed her own sister, outrage will consume everything else. Hunter understands fear. He knows exactly how to direct it. He imagines Daphne returning to people who hate her, friends becoming enemies, family turning away, every familiar place closing its doors. Then who will remain? Hunter. When he finally finds her, she will have nothing else. No pack, no allies, no future unless she submits. Then she will become his mate, because surrender will be the only path back to anything resembling a life. One problem remains: the stranger. Hunter has searched for him without success. No normal shifter could have controlled Hunter's mind like that. The man's ability was something else entirely. Hunter begins considering what kind of creature could possess that power, and how to kill it. Chapter 19. There is one place in Gray's castle Daphne both loves and fears: the mirror hall. Unlike the golden rooms around it, this corridor feels almost moonlit. Cool air touches her skin. Night-blooming flowers release faint perfume. The ceiling disappears into darkness. Tall, silver-framed mirrors line both walls. They show far more than Daphne's reflection. Some reveal the outside world. Her old forest. The pack territory. Others show the past. Daphne as a child. Diana laughing beside her. Then there are possible futures. Those disturb Daphne most. In one mirror, Diana leads their people again. The pack appears stronger, united. In another, Daphne stands beside Hunter. Children run around them. Hunter looks at her with the tenderness Daphne once hoped was real. For a moment, the image fills her with painful longing. Then instinct rejects it. That version of Hunter does not feel true. Other mirrors appear to show events happening now. Diana lies unconscious in one. But the mirrors are deceptive. If Daphne stares too long and desperately wishes her sister awake, Diana's eyes begin opening. Sometimes the reflected Diana begs Daphne to come home. Other times she smiles and tells Daphne to remain in the castle forever. Daphne knows she cannot trust any of it. Yet staying away is difficult. The mirrors offer knowledge, or at least the appearance of it. One day, Daphne stands before her own reflection, until the woman staring back seems unfamiliar. What is she doing? She should be finding a way to stop Hunter. This castle is filled with magic. Surely somewhere inside it exists information she can use. Show me Hunter. Daphne approaches the glass. The real Hunter. The image changes. Hunter appears before a large gathering. Daphne is still missing, he announces, but she will be found and brought to justice. Justice? Daphne's confusion sharpens. Not only did Daphne attack Jade after discovering she was pregnant because she foolishly assumed the child was mine. Hunter pauses dramatically. But she apparently intended to use the same poison she used on her own sister. Daphne gasps. The mirror shifts. Suddenly Hunter is holding Daphne affectionately, kissing her cheek. No. Daphne steps closer. No. Show me what is real, please. The false image disappears. Hunter returns. This time Daphne recognizes people in the crowd. Friends, relatives, her own pack. They are listening to every word. Daphne got rid of Diana, the woman I loved and intended to mate. Hunter's voice carries perfectly. Her own flesh and blood. Shock moves through the crowd. Then she tried to harm an innocent pregnant woman and her child. Jade stands beside him, looking pale and fragile. Daphne must be found. She must be stopped. Hunter raises his voice. Who stands with me? The crowd erupts. Daphne sees Laura cheering. Then her father. He looks less enthusiastic, but he still stands on Hunter's side. They all do. Chapter 20. Daphne draws what she saw. Hunter's expression. The shouting crowd. Faces she has known all her life twisted against her. She draws for hours, then takes the picture into her room and continues. One day becomes 2, then 3. How could they believe him? These people watched Daphne and Diana grow together. They saw how deeply Daphne loved her sister. How can Hunter say a few words and erase a lifetime? Does power truly matter more than truth? Can authority make people believe anything? If that is the world outside, what is left for Daphne to trust? At the bottom of the finished picture, she writes, I am alone. Then Daphne cannot make herself leave the bed. She cries until crying becomes impossible. At some point she sleeps. When she eventually wakes, a tray of real food sits nearby. There is a note beside it. You're not alone. Daphne crushes the paper in her fist. Then closes her eyes again. Chapter 21. Gray continues leaving food. Daphne stops eating. A weight seems permanently lodged inside her chest. Getting out of bed is difficult. Thinking is difficult. Everything has become exhausting. Even crying requires more energy than she possesses. Then one day Daphne wakes with cloth tied securely over her eyes. Gray is beside her. I would draw you something, he says, but unfortunately I'm terrible at it. His presence feels awkward, real, steady. Maybe the mirror lied. Daphne shakes her head. She knows what she saw. Gray goes quiet. One of his cold fingers brushes her hand. You're going to waste away if you refuse to eat. Daphne does not respond. Gray tries again. How about a game? Silence. A game of truth. Since you're apparently an expert on deciding what is real. There is something deliberately teasing in his voice. I'll tell you a story. At the end, you decide whether it actually happened. Daphne still says nothing. If you guess wrong, you eat one bite. She finally moves. If I'm right, will you leave me alone? For now. Daphne buries part of her face in the pillow. Fine, do your worst. Gray clears his throat. Daphne suspects the dramatic pause is intentional. This is the story of a sailor who unexpectedly becomes stranded on a deserted island. Gray describes the lonely shore. The absence of civilization. The search for fresh water and food. The shelter the sailor builds with his own hands. How he learns to fish. How days become weeks, then months. How solitude weighs upon him. And how time itself slowly becomes a teacher, revealing patience, endurance, and the ability to live with almost nothing. Gray stops. Daphne barely has to think. Robinson Crusoe. She waits for him to leave. Gray sounds amused. Wrong. Daphne lifts her head. That was the story of Alexander Selkirk, the very real Scottish Royal Navy officer who spent years stranded on an uninhabited island. His story may have inspired Daniel Defoe, but the events happened. Daphne opens her mouth to protest. Gray places a bite of meat on her tongue. Eat. His tone becomes cheerful. Nobody likes a sore loser. Despite herself, Daphne does. Several days later, she asks Gray, "How do you think you would handle a deserted island, completely cut off from everyone?" The question leaves her mouth before she considers why it matters. Gray has essentially lived that way for years. His castle is more comfortable than an empty island, but he is just as isolated. "I imagine I'd be relieved," Gray says. He does not explain. Chapter 22. Gray brings Daphne another story every day. At first, he relies on famous fiction and real events, deliberately making the details similar enough to trick her. Eventually, he needs better material. His stories become more personal. "I once knew a man born into nobility," Gray begins one afternoon, "a count who lived inside an isolated castle. Rumors surrounded this man. People became ill after encountering him. Others disappeared. Witnesses spoke about an unnatural unease in his presence, as though something about him did not entirely belong to the human world. He lived surrounded by luxury, yet an endless hunger defined him. Ordinary food could never satisfy it. He could bend people to his will, pull them toward him, change them permanently. Was he a vampire? Daphne asks. Gray pauses. Yes. Dracula? A longer silence. Then, he was my father. Daphne becomes completely still. Gray is not joking. She thinks of everything she knows. His hands are always cold. His body barely moves when he sits. His voice can control minds. He has been alive for a very long time. Vampires cannot simply be created through a bite. The trait is inherited. They begin life human and return after death if they carry the necessary bloodline. That means Gray died once. Daphne wants to ask how. She also knows vampires remain alive through blood magic. They must consume blood. Where has Gray been getting his? Does he want hers? The question flashes through her mind. She says none of it. Gray seems to relax beside her. Warm artificial sunlight touches Daphne's face. Would you like me to leave so you can enjoy the garden without the blindfold? Gray asks. You only need it while I'm here. Don't go. The answer comes too quickly. Daphne pauses. When Gray leaves, there is nothing to distract her from the mirrors, from Hunter, from the ugliness waiting outside the castle. She would rather hear Gray's voice. Tell me another story. Chapter 23. This is where I enter Daphne's story. Everything before this point, her relationship with Hunter, her escape, the castle, Gray, I learned later from what Daphne eventually told me. What happens next, I witnessed myself. Gray had already explained to Daphne that his castle was created through a wish granted by a powerful magician connected to a demon. That magician is Adrian, and on the night I first met Daphne and Gray, I was secretly following him through a forest. At the time, I knew nothing about either of them. I was simply trying not to lose my boss between the trees. I had worked for Adrian for a little more than a year. Officially, I was his assistant. In reality, that meant cleaning after him, welcoming clients into the shop, and frequently preventing him from getting himself killed. Adrian is immortal. Unfortunately, immortality has done absolutely nothing for his sense of self-preservation. That particular evening I caught him sneaking away. He refused to tell me where he was going. In my experience, that meant he intended to do something stupid without witnesses. So I followed him. After nearly an hour walking through the cold forest, I almost gave up. Then Adrian stopped beside a large oak. He sat down and tied a blindfold over his own eyes. Then he waited. Alone. Blindfolded. in the middle of a forest. It was not the strangest thing I had ever watched Adrian do, but it was close. I hid behind a bush. Around 10 minutes later, someone arrived. A very tall man. A black cloak covered almost every part of him, including his face. He spoke quietly to Adrian, took his hand, helped him stand, and began guiding him away. I had no time to think. I followed. The forest was nearly pitch black. Every cracking twig under my feet made me think I had been discovered. Neither man reacted. Then something impossible happened. Darkness suddenly became golden light. There was no gradual sunrise. One step placed me in a dark forest. The next revealed a castle. A huge one. Pale stone towers rose above me. Tall windows reflected permanent dusk. For several seconds I forgot I was supposed to remain hidden. The place seemed alive, beautiful in a way that made looking away difficult. Adrian and the cloaked man entered through enormous doors. I hurried after them and slipped inside before the entrance closed. The interior was equally impossible. Long corridors, tapestries, an oddly sweet floral scent in the air. I kept far enough behind to avoid being noticed. The cloaked stranger eventually led Adrian into a sitting room. Books covered the walls. A fire burned. The man helped Adrian into a chair. I assumed he would finally remove Adrian's blindfold. He didn't. "Welcome back, old friend," the stranger said. Adrian smiled. That relaxed me slightly. Then a breeze swept through the room. The stranger's hood fell back. And I saw his face. I simply stared. Chapter 24. Daphne enters through another door not long afterward. By then Gray has his hood up again. That is the first time I hear his name. I recognize Daphne as a shifter immediately. I have encountered enough of them. Shifters carry something wild in their presence. They are usually strong, athletic, and quick to act. Gray feels entirely different. There is a strange stillness around him, contained power, and the face I saw beneath his hood did not seem human. Porcelain pale skin, perfectly shaped features, silver eyes carrying an ancient sadness. He looked like something from a dream, or a nightmare, depending on your perspective. "Daphne," Gray says, helping the blindfolded woman sit. "This is my friend Adrian." "The magician?" "I suppose I should thank you for building such a beautiful castle," Daphne says. Adrian smiles. I know him too well to mistake it for sincerity. "Nice to meet you." He makes a genuine effort to sound friendly. It does not go particularly well. While I stare around at the impossible room, Gray summarizes Daphne's situation. Her pack has effectively been taken over by an alpha with bad intentions. He has framed Daphne for crimes she did not commit. Her people have turned against her. She has nowhere safe to go. "Sorry to hear that," Adrian says. He does not sound remotely sorry. He can be deeply antisocial. Daphne apparently does not notice. "Since you're such a powerful magician and Gray's friend, I was hoping I could—" "Gray." Adrian interrupts so sharply that the room changes. "Do not tell me you convinced her to make a wish." I almost sigh. Adrian hates granting wishes to people he cares about. He is required to grant them if a person understands the conditions and insists. The wishes almost always ruin something. Adrian spends weeks in terrible moods afterward. "Did you explain that every wish carries a price?" he demands. "He did warn me," Daphne says. "Did he explain the price is the thing you care about most?" Daphne becomes still. "The thing I care about most?" "It usually isn't what you think." Adrian rubs the bridge of his nose beneath the blindfold. "And there is an excellent chance you'll regret the wish for the rest of your life. Most people do." He says it flatly. Anyone who doesn't know Adrian might assume he doesn't care. I know better. Daphne reaches blindly toward Gray. "What did the wish take from you?" "My last chance at happiness," Gray answers. I roll my eyes. No wonder these two are friends. They share the same flair for misery. Adrian would have warned Gray as much as he legally could before granting anything. Clients cannot be told what their most precious possession actually is. But they are told they may lose it. Gray chose the wish anyway. Whatever disaster followed was not Adrian's fault. At least, that is what I tell myself. Then Daphne turns her head toward my hiding place. Oh, everyone goes still. Why is your friend waiting outside? I freeze. Adrian freezes. Gray freezes. What friend? Adrian asks. His voice is suddenly terrifying. The human girl over there. Daphne points vaguely toward me. She smells human. Isn't she with you? Adrian leaps upright. His blindfold comes off. He storms toward my hiding place. Iris. The way he says my name would have frightened me a year earlier. Now I mostly prepare myself for another dramatic lecture. Then I see his face. He is already pale by nature. Now he looks almost white. His fingers shake as he puts a hand over my eyes. Did you see him? Adrian is not angry. He is terrified. See who? Gray. The vampire who brought us here. Vampire. That explains the face. I have never met one before. I know they are supposed to be unnaturally beautiful. Did you see his face? Adrian demands. Nope. I lie. I have excellent survival instincts. Whatever seeing Gray means, I am not admitting anything while Adrian looks this frightened. The last time I annoyed him badly, he refused to speak to me for nearly a month. Against my back I feel Adrian sag with relief. You swear? The fear in his voice almost makes me feel guilty. Almost. Cross my heart, hope to die, stick a needle in my... Shut up, Iris. Chapter 25. Your friends seem nice. Daphne says it after Adrian and I leave. She and Gray are sitting near a fireplace. The castle does not require heat. Daphne simply loves fires. So the castle creates one. The crackling wood and smoke make her feel safe. She remains blindfolded. I expected the magician to be an old man, she says. He sounded young. Gray gives a soft snort. He looks young too. Don't let that fool you. Adrian is old, possibly older than I am. Daphne becomes thoughtful. You've been here a very long time, haven't you? Gray sighs. When I became a vampire, my father found me. Daphne listens. I had never met him. I didn't even know he was alive. He explained what I had become, taught me how to use the abilities vampires possess. The mind control thing? Yes, among others. Gray pauses. What my father didn't expect was that I would develop an unusual gift. Some vampires have powers other vampires don't? Yes. I didn't know. Neither did I. At first, I didn't even understand mine. My father didn't either, because initially it affected humans and other species, but not vampires. Daphne waits. Is that what you call your curse? Yes. Gray's voice changes. At first I liked the ability. Then it turned against me. It became impossible to live among humans. That is why Gray searched for Adrian. He wished for a hidden castle where nobody could accidentally find him. His plan was not originally to live alone. Gray intended to invite other vampires. Since his ability did not affect them, they were the only people he could safely form relationships with. That is partly why the castle was made so luxurious. Long-lived vampires often accumulate wealth. Gray believed they would not be interested in staying somewhere uncomfortable. Adrian warned him. Every wish has consequences. But Gray believed he had nothing important left to lose. So he wished. What did the wish take? Daphne reaches until Gray lets her take his hand. You always talk about your curse, but you've never actually told me exactly what it does. Gray is silent for several seconds. Then he answers. Everyone who looks directly at me falls irrevocably and obsessively in love with me. Daphne does not immediately understand why that is horrifying. Embarrassing? Isolating? Certainly. But deadly? It is not ordinary love, Gray continues. When I don't return their feelings, or when I refuse to remain with them, they deteriorate. His hand becomes rigid in hers. They die from broken hearts. Daphne's fingers tighten around his. Then she understands what the wish took. Before Gray received the castle, vampires were immune to his ability. They were his last hope of genuine companionship. After the wish, the curse began affecting vampires too. The castle gave him refuge, and took away the only people with whom he could safely share it. This is why Gray cannot go with Daphne when she leaves to rescue Diana. Earlier, Adrian explained something important. A poison powerful enough to keep a shifter unconscious for this long almost certainly has to be administered repeatedly. If you remove Diana from whoever is giving it to her, Adrian had said, there is a very good chance she'll recover naturally. Daphne therefore has a plan. She will return home, retrieve Diana, bring her somewhere safe. Then Diana, as the true alpha, can confront Hunter. I hate what your pack did to you, Gray tells Daphne, but I would hate cursing another innocent person even more. His voice softens, especially you. If he follows Daphne home, she cannot remain blindfolded. Any accidental glimpse of his face could destroy her. So Daphne tells Gray she understands why he must remain behind. Something in her chest aches anyway. Chapter 26. Sneaking back into her old home is easier than Daphne expects. She shifts into her bird form and slips inside. The halls are familiar. Every floorboard, every shadow, every creaking step. For years, this place represented safety. Tonight it feels foreign. At first, Daphne assumes the discomfort comes from danger. Hunter's people could appear at any moment. But that is not it. The colors seem dull. The air feels heavy. Even the ordinary sounds of the house grate against her senses. After living inside Gray's castle, reality feels harsh. The realization disturbs Daphne. She pushes it aside and reaches Diana's room. Her sister remains unconscious. Too pale, too thin. Seeing her renews Daphne's determination. She searches Diana's wardrobe. A simple blouse, comfortable pants, clothes Daphne can move in. She changes quickly. Diana's familiar scent clings to the fabric and releases painful memories. Daphne refuses to become lost in them. The castle keeps pulling at the back of her mind. Its warm light, the gardens, the quiet. Gray. Everything here seems lesser by comparison. Daphne forces herself to focus. She lifts Diana from the bed. Her sister weighs far less than Daphne remembers. That frightens her. Daphne settles Diana onto her back. Diana's arms hang over her shoulders. Her legs are secured as well as Daphne can manage. Standing beneath the weight takes almost all her strength. Then she begins walking. Every step must be silent. The hallways that were easy while Daphne moved alone become painfully long. A tiny floorboard creak sounds enormous. Diana's breathing brushes Daphne's neck. Her muscles begin burning. The entire house seems to be waiting for a mistake. Eventually, Daphne reaches the back entrance. She carefully opens it. The hinge makes a faint sound. Daphne freezes. Nothing moves. She continues outside. The forest ahead looks dark and difficult. Still, it feels safer than the house. Earlier, Daphne secretly hid a wheelchair beyond the trees. Getting Diana to it is exhausting. Roots catch Daphne's feet. Rocks shift. Her arms tremble. Finally, she reaches the wheelchair. Daphne lowers Diana into it and nearly collapses. She adjusts her sister carefully. Then begins pushing. The castle has made life feel effortless, beautiful, safe. Reality is none of those things. The forest path is narrow and uneven. Every yard takes work. Still, Daphne moves forward. She cannot turn back. Chapter 27. Gray waits beside the tree they chose. The moment Daphne senses his tall figure nearby, relief floods her. She cannot see his face. He wears a hood and mask. Still, he blindfolds both sisters before approaching the hidden route to the castle. His movements are gentle. Gray lifts Diana with effortless strength. Daphne places one hand against his shoulder while they walk. The solid presence beneath her palm reminds her that she is no longer alone. The closer they come to the castle, the stronger Daphne feels its pull. Warm air touches her skin. She hears water flowing in the garden streams. She desperately wants to remove the blindfold and see the golden light again. She doesn't. She would never risk betraying Gray's trust. At first she told herself she feared the curse. Now another reason matters more. Daphne cannot bear the thought of causing Gray pain. He rescued her. Twice. He sheltered her when her pack turned against her. He gave her hope when she had none. With Diana safe in Gray's arms, they make their way through the castle. Eventually Diana is placed on a bed beside Daphne's. Hope finally begins rising. If Adrian is right, Diana will awaken once the poison leaves her body. Then Hunter can be stopped. Daphne will be cleared. Her pack can be freed from his influence. Everything should return to normal. The thought unexpectedly fills Daphne with panic. Normal means returning to the pack house. Normal means leaving the castle. Leaving Gray. The idea frightens her more than it should. Daphne? Gray squeezes her shoulder. Are you all right? How could she explain? Daphne could imagine losing the castle if she had to. But she cannot imagine losing Gray. He has become her closest friend, her confidant, the person who understands her in a way nobody else ever has. Daphne no longer wants a life that does not include him. She helps Diana because she loves her sister. She will help the pack because she still cares. But they are no longer what Daphne wants to build her entire existence around. Gray is. Would he let her stay after Hunter is defeated? Until now, Daphne always had a reason. She was in danger. She needed shelter. Once that danger disappeared, would Gray still want her here? Daphne opens her mouth. Her heart pounds. She needs to ask. Before she can, another voice crashes through the room. So this is where you've been hiding. Daphne goes cold. She does not need to remove her blindfold. She knows the voice. Hunter. Chapter 28. How did Hunter find the castle? Then Daphne understands. He followed them. Hunter must have expected her to return for Diana. He watched Daphne take her sister. Then he followed until Gray unknowingly led all of them through the enchantment. Hunter found Gray's hidden refuge because of Daphne. Guilt strikes immediately. Stay where you are. Gray's command thunders across the room. For one hopeful second, Daphne expects Hunter to freeze. Instead, heavy footsteps continue. I don't think so. Hunter sounds pleased. His scent reveals something else. Fury. Murderous fury. Daphne instinctively moves backward. Gray places a hand on her shoulder. Keep still. His voice becomes quieter. Keep your blindfold on. Daphne nods. Hunter begins pacing. Not so confident without your mind control trick, are you? Gray does not respond. Want to know why it doesn't work anymore? I don't particularly care about anything you have to say. Hunter roars. Then violence erupts. Gray's hand leaves Daphne. A fist strikes flesh. Furniture crashes. Bodies slam into walls. Behind the blindfold, every sound becomes more vivid. Hunter's breathing is heavy. His growls are animalistic. I lost everything because of you. Another impact. First Daphne, then my pack. Your pack? Gray sounds genuinely confused. That was the price. Hunter's answer comes through clenched teeth. The price for what? More fighting. Daphne smells blood. You made a wish to Adrian? Gray understands first. I wished for the means to kill you once and for all, you undead freak. Hunter's fists crash into walls and furniture. Gray moves far more quietly. I lost my title, my power, everything. Hunter's rage fills the room. At least I'll get what I deserve. His tone suddenly becomes triumphant. When I touch this gemstone to your face, it's finished. Gray goes silent. My face. For the first time, fear enters his voice. No, wait. Fabric tears. Something enormous crashes across the room. Then silence. Only breathing. You already lost, Gray says. His voice is filled with sorrow. I'm sorry. Daphne cannot endure the uncertainty anymore. She rips away the blindfold. Gray's back is facing her. Relief hits first. She has not seen him. Then Daphne notices his cloak lying across the room. Hunter stands directly in front of Gray, and Hunter is staring straight into Gray's uncovered face. Chapter 29. Diana wakes not long afterward. By then, Hunter has progressed well beyond confusion. He has declared his love for Gray repeatedly. Now he is begging. Even Daphne has difficulty watching the spectacle without pity. Gray locks Hunter safely in another room, then refuses to go near him. The look in his eyes. Gray's voice is filled with guilt. Daphne sits beside him. They always have that same expression. Feverish, haunted. He drifts into memories. My friends had it. Strangers, families. Diana recovers quickly as the poison leaves her system. Once she understands what happened, she immediately agrees Hunter cannot remain inside Gray's castle. Diana does not care what becomes of him. Daphne does. Not because she forgives Hunter. Because forcing Gray to live beside another person accidentally destroyed by his curse is cruel. We can use it, Diana points out. Hunter is obsessed with Gray now. We could probably convince him to confess everything if he thinks it earns him a chance. Daphne is not sure she likes the idea. Still, removing Hunter from Gray's presence matters more. Gray has changed since the confrontation. He is quieter, more distant. Daphne has no idea how to help. Taking Hunter away seems like a beginning. So the sisters prepare to bring Hunter back. Before leaving, Daphne makes Gray promise something. Meet me at our place in the forest 2 weeks from now. There's still so much we need to talk about. She searches for the right words. When I come back, Nothing feels adequate. Gray's sadness makes everything harder. The problem is larger than Hunter. Hunter simply reopened old wounds. Guilt Gray has carried for years. Memories of people destroyed because they looked at him. I'll come back in 2 weeks, Daphne promises. Then she leaves with Diana and Hunter. The journey home is tense. When they reach the pack house, Daphne immediately senses that everything has changed. Jade greets them. And Jade is in control. Hunter truly lost his position as alpha. His own pack replaced him. The price of his wish was his power, his title, and the loyalty he valued above nearly everything else. Diana's anger ignites the moment she understands Jade took his place. You seized control while he was gone. Her stare is cold. Do not mistake this for forgiveness. We remember exactly what happened. Jade does not retreat. I don't want more conflict. She places a protective hand near her stomach. I'll agree to a truce. My pack will leave yours alone. Daphne studies her. Jade does not understand what happened to Hunter, the father of her child, the alpha she worshipped, the man she loved. Whatever agreement they make cannot repair that. Still, the promise means Diana's pack is safe for now. Diana then turns her attention toward Daphne. You're staying. Daphne's heart drops. Diana insists they need each other. Together, the sisters can rebuild. Together, they can make sure nobody like Hunter ever manipulates their people again. Once, Daphne would have agreed instantly. Her life revolved around the pack's survival. Something changed when those same people believed Hunter's lies. When Laura turned against her. When her own father sided with the man who tried to force a mating mark onto her. Daphne is not the same trusting woman. And more than anything else, she cannot imagine leaving Gray. The castle isn't a life, Diana argues. It's a dream. Daphne stiffens. Dreams can be wonderful, but eventually you have to wake up. You can't spend your entire existence hiding inside peaceful oblivion. Daphne refuses. Diana eventually realizes she cannot command her sister into staying. "You don't get to decide for me," Daphne says. 2 weeks after leaving Gray, Daphne returns to their meeting tree. This time she knows exactly what she wants to say. She loves him. She does not need to see his face to know that. She wants to remain with him, forever if he will allow it. Daphne sits beneath the tree. She holds tightly to her courage and every carefully chosen word. Gray never arrives. Chapter 30. Daphne waits. An hour, then longer. At some point she considers returning for food and water. She does not. Those needs feel insignificant beside the need to find Gray. Why hasn't he come? Did something happen? Did somebody discover the castle? Did Hunter's intrusion somehow place Gray in danger? The fear becomes unbearable. This is Daphne's fault. She led Hunter there. If she had never returned for Diana, if she had never allowed Hunter to follow, Gray might still be safe. Daphne begins searching. She retraces every route she remembers. She searches for traces of her own scent. Hunter's, Gray's, anything that might reveal the path. Hours pass. Then more. The forest remains indifferent. The trees that once comforted Daphne now feel cruel. The sun rises and falls. Still no castle. Eventually Daphne collapses onto her knees. "It is impossible," Gray told her from the beginning. "Nobody can find the castle unless he guides them. And now Gray is not here." A sob tears from Daphne. There is no home without him. After knowing Gray's touch, the quiet castle, the enchanted gardens, how is she supposed to return to a world that feels so brutal? Daphne digs her fingers into the earth. The castle is where she belongs, not because of its magic, because of the life she shared there, because of Gray. She needs to find him. But how can she locate something magically designed never to be found? Daphne suddenly stops crying. Magic. The castle is hidden by magic, and Daphne knows the magician who created it. She knows exactly what she must do. Chapter 31. Daphne remembers one of Gray's stories. He told it while trying to pull her from the worst days of her despair. There was once a young man. The young man was heir to land and a modest fortune. To his family's disappointment, he had always been sickly. Leaving his room was difficult. Traveling any meaningful distance required a wheelchair. Nobody trusted such a fragile heir to protect the family fortune. He never knew his father. His mother was so cold and distant she might as well have been a stranger. The only person he truly loved was his younger brother. His brother was everything the sick young man was not: healthy, charming, energetic, and apparently devoted to his older sibling. Then the younger brother introduced him to Anna. Anna came from noble blood. Her father had nearly destroyed the family wealth through drinking and terrible investments. Anna did not seem burdened by any of it. She was bright, free, alive. She never treated the sick young man as fragile, never spoke to him as though death were already waiting beside his bed. For the first time, he felt young, wanted, happy. After about a year, he asked Anna to marry him. She accepted. Their engagement celebration was magnificent. The most important aristocratic families attended. Candles lit the hall. Women wore brilliant gowns. Anna seemed brighter than all of them. The young man could not dance. His younger brother stepped in. A loving gesture. At least that was what the young man told himself. He watched Anna and his brother move across the floor. She laughed. His brother looked at her in a way that made something uneasy twist inside him. Then whispers began. Guests noticed. The young man refused to. He told himself Anna was simply happy. His brother was doing what he had always done, helping with the things his older sibling's body could not manage. But doubt had entered. After the celebration ended, sleep would not come. The young man went to his brother's room. He found Anna in bed with him. They were discussing their future. Not the future Anna had promised her fiancé. Their future. After your brother and I are married and he finally succumbs to his illness, we can host balls like this every night. Anna kissed the younger brother. Imagine it. Once you inherit the fortune, we won't have to hide anymore. It might take a long time before my brother dies, the younger brother answered. He sounded genuinely disappointed by that possibility. It doesn't have to. Anna laughed. I'm sure we can arrange for his condition to worsen much sooner. The sick young man did not remain long enough to hear his brother's answer. Discovering the woman he loved wanted him dead was unbearable. Hearing that his beloved brother might want the same thing would destroy what little remained. Gray ended the story there. At the time, Daphne had to guess whether it was true. She cannot remember what she guessed. More importantly, she cannot remember what Gray answered. Now she understands. She should have listened more carefully. She should have asked who the sick young man was. Chapter 32. Daphne arrives at Adrian's shop 2 weeks after I last saw her. She is soaked from the rain. Water immediately begins dripping across the floor. Normally I would object. Then I see her face. I had been worried ever since Adrian granted Hunter his wish. Hunter had demanded a way to kill Gray. Adrian was required to grant the request because Hunter understood the price and insisted. But Adrian had built a protection into the outcome. The weapon only works if Hunter presses the gemstone directly against Gray's face, Adrian explained afterward. To do that, he has to look at him. The curse will take hold before he can finish. It was clever. Adrian could not refuse the wish. But he could make success nearly impossible. When Daphne appears in the shop alive, I initially feel relieved. Then I notice how devastated she looks. What happened? I hurry toward her. Did Hunter hurt Gray? Daphne shakes her head. Her eyes scan the room. Is Adrian here? Something about her expression frightens me. I find Adrian in the back. Luckily, he is awake. When I explain Daphne's condition, he becomes even paler. She saw his face. Adrian practically runs toward the front. I follow. After meeting Gray, I had been confused by the whole curse situation. I saw his face. Yes, he was beautiful. Unnaturally so. But I did not feel compelled to worship him. I barely thought about him afterward, so I assumed Adrian exaggerated. Then he confidently used Gray's curse to stop Hunter. That made me think the curse must be real, but perhaps Adrian had magically protected me. I never asked. Asking would require admitting I followed him into the castle. Now Adrian looks terrified by the possibility that Daphne saw Gray, which raises an uncomfortable question. If Adrian cannot protect someone from the curse, what happened to me? Am I cursed too? Maybe the obsession has not started yet. Or perhaps I am already in love with Gray and simply don't know what love is supposed to feel like. While I contemplate this, Daphne attempts to explain through tears. I can't find the castle. I can't get back to him. Her voice breaks. That's why I need to make a wish. Adrian presses his lips together. Listen to me. If you looked at Gray, I strongly recommend that your wish should be. I didn't see his face. Adrian stops, then looks at me. That expression means he expects me to speak. I glare back. He continues staring. I sigh. You seem extremely upset about being unable to reach Gray. So naturally we assumed. Of course I'm upset. Daphne folds her arms. I just told you I can't reach the man I love. Adrian interrupts. So you have seen his face. Daphne looks at him as though he is stupid. You understand people can develop feelings without curses, right? Adrian's expression changes. Then he asks quietly, what is your wish? I want to be able to find Gray. You understand the cost? Yes. I will take whatever matters most to you. I understand. It is rarely what people expect. Adrian's voice is harsher now. Most people regret their wishes. I know. Daphne looks between us. But I can't keep living like this. I have to find him. Adrian's shoulders fall. He knows she will not change her mind. All right, Chapter 33. Daphne flies above the forest. Wind tears past her wings. Her heart beats with fear and desperation. Then she sees it. Grey's castle. A strange light now surrounds the towers. The sight hurts because Daphne already knows this will be the last time she ever sees it. Adrian's words repeat inside her mind. I gave you the ability to locate Grey whenever you want. That was the gift. Then came the price. In exchange, I'm taking back the castle you love so much. Daphne felt her heart collapse. The castle? Outside Adrian's shop, Daphne discovered she could now summon a strange beam of light. It pointed directly toward Grey. East. Toward the forest. But Grey is still inside. What happens to him? Adrian nearly pushed her toward the door. I'll hold the castle together as long as possible, but you need to move. Sweat gathered against his forehead. If Grey is still there when it disappears, he'll be taken with it somewhere nobody will ever be able to reach. Daphne shifted immediately. Now she flies faster. She had believed the wish would punish her. Instead, Grey is endangered because of a choice she made. Again. She cannot forgive herself. Adrian is buying them time with his own magic, but he warned that he cannot hold the structure indefinitely. Daphne reaches the castle. She lands hard inside an open corridor and immediately shifts human. The sight is horrifying. The castle is dying. Walls dissolve into particles. For a moment, they still glow with color. Then the pieces turn black and disappear. Columns crumble. Sections of floor have vanished into darkness. Grey. Daphne runs. The once golden corridors are filled with shadow. Grey. No answer. She summons the magical direction Adrian gave her. The beam leads deeper. Daphne follows. The castle disintegrates beneath her feet. If she cannot reach Grey before it vanishes, both of them may disappear with it. She enters the mirror hall. Or what remains of it. The walls are gone. Darkness stretches in every direction. Broken mirrors float through the void. Each fragment contains a different image. Unknown faces. Burning forests. Storm-covered oceans. Collapsing cities. Then Daphne sees one reflection that stops her. A young man sits in a wheelchair near the edge of a cliff. Dark hair whips around his face. His fingers are clenched around the chair. His expression contains a despair Daphne recognizes. The mirror shatters. The young man's face breaks across hundreds of fragments. And behind them stands Grey. For the first time, Daphne sees him. Pale skin that almost shines in the darkness. Dark hair. Impossible features. Silver eyes. Beautiful beyond anything human. Daphne. Grey immediately covers his face. Daphne rushes forward and grabs his wrists. It's too late. I already saw you. His horror deepens. You don't understand what you've done. Adrian said it would be fine. What do you mean, fine? You have no idea what will happen to you. It will be fine because I already love you. Grey stops fighting her hands. Daphne remembers what Adrian told her after they discussed the possibility of reaching Grey. If your feelings are genuine, you'll be safe. Only someone already truly in love with Grey can look upon him without becoming enslaved by the curse. Grey lowers his hands slowly. For several seconds, neither of them moves. Daphne simply looks at him. No feverish obsession. No unnatural compulsion. Only the same man she loved before she ever knew his face. We need to go. Daphne takes his hand. The castle is disappearing. Grey looks around. What happened? It's my fault. Daphne forces herself to confess. I made a wish. I wanted to be able to find you. The price was the castle. Grey stares at her. You made a wish just to find me? Of course I did. Daphne hits his arm lightly. You didn't come back. I thought I would never see you again. Another section of the room dissolves. Please. She pulls him toward her. We'll find another dream. Grey does not move. I can't. Daphne turns. My curse. I think I know how to fix that. Grey stares. Diana told me something only alphas normally know. If you drink enough shifter blood, especially from someone of our line, you can lose your vampiric powers and become mortal. Daphne takes another step. If the powers disappear, so does the curse. She pulls again. Gray remains where he is. Please, come with me. We can still be happy. Gray's expression becomes painfully distant. Happy where? Daphne stops. In a world full of liars? People who eventually disappoint you? He looks toward the collapsing darkness. I don't know if I can do that again. His voice drops. Sometimes being alone is easier. Tears run down Daphne's face, partly because time is running out, partly because she understands. She once thought exactly the same thing. After her pack abandoned her, returning to them felt impossible. The world outside Gray's castle seemed cruel. Gray has carried that feeling for far longer. Daphne steps forward. She wraps both arms around him. Her face presses against his chest. You're not alone. You have me now. Epilogue. Do you think we'll ever see them again? I ask Adrian quietly. The sun has nearly disappeared beyond the horizon outside the bookstore. We have heard nothing from Daphne since she left to find Gray. The castle is completely gone. Adrian has barely gotten out of bed since it disappeared. He spent too much of his own magic keeping it stable long enough for Daphne to reach Gray. Adrian is not supposed to use that power for personal reasons. His magic exists to grant the wishes of others. When he turns it toward his own desires, it hurts him. I suspect far more than he admits. I don't know. Adrian's eyes are half closed. Gray could have left the castle whenever he wanted. He simply never chose to. His voice is flat. I'm not sure he remembers how to live anywhere else. It isn't your fault. I look at him. Gray chose the wish. He chose to stay. Adrian says nothing. Night settles completely outside. I picture Daphne and Gray standing somewhere in the forest where the castle once existed. Confused. Alone. Unsure where to go. I'm going to make dinner. Adrian barely reacts. For all of us. His eyes open slightly. They'll be hungry if they come here, and they won't have anywhere else to go. Iris. He massages his temples. Don't get your hopes up. Look, I know life is hard. I'm sure Gray was. Adrian rolls his eyes. You are ridiculously optimistic. Probably because I'm young. All I'm saying is that everything becomes easier when you have someone beside you. Adrian opens one eye. He looks like an irritated cat. The image makes me smile. Finally, he shrugs. Then prepare a blindfold. I blink. If they do return, Gray will still be a vampire for a while. It would be unfortunate for you to get cursed. My mouth opens. For a moment, I consider telling Adrian the truth. I already saw Gray. I saw him the first night, and nothing happened. Then I look at Adrian, his exhausted shoulders, the grim set of his mouth. He does not seem to believe Gray and Daphne will return. At this moment, Adrian does not seem to believe in much of anything, so I say nothing. I leave his room and go to prepare dinner.